to change, you filthy animal.
Yippee-ki-yay!
You fidget now you doubt, fair dear.
Shaken, not stirred.
You talking to me?
You're a wizard, Harry.
I volunteer as tribute.
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Deirdre Chambers.
What a coincidence.
That's so fat.
How?
Wakanda forever!
Welcome back, my little dinosaurs, to Not My Genre, the Fireteller film review. It's episode 44, and today we're reviewing Jurassic World Dominion. My name is Nate.
And I'm Will. Oh, I really like your dulcet tones
I like you.
there.
We were trying to get in harmony there.
Do you think it was a bit of harmony?
Yeah,
anyway,
it was.
Yeah,
Well, you tried to sing. It didn't. We weren't very successful.
It was close.
Anyway,
It was
sorry,
close enough.
you were going to say something.
I'm going to say we are Fireteller Film and Story. We are
Story.
We're a fire business. No, we're a video business based in Perth, WA. We are storytellers. We are story educators, and we have a few things coming out in the next year.
Stay tuned for our book and our e-course coming out soon. Watch this space.
Yeah.
Now, listen, Will, are you well?
I'm great. I'm doing great.
You've got your tea. You're
Yep.
drinking a peppermint tea. That's very
right.
nice.
Yeah.
Very.
You really need that sometimes on a Friday afternoon to
Well,
have
I
peppermint tea.
usually need something a bit harder than a peppermint
Yeah,
tea on
actually
a Friday.
Friday
But
night.
Anyway, it's been a good week.
Jurassic World, hey?
Look, Jurassic World. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
Yes.
it?
So, the synopsis: 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, dinosaurs now live and hunt alongside humans all over the world. This fragile balance will reshape the future and determine once and for all whether human beings are to remain the apex predators on a planet they now share with history's most fearsome creatures in a new era. That was from IMDb, and can I just say there was no mention of locusts in that synopsis?
No, there wasn't. We're going to get onto the locust in just a little bit.
Locusts.
Yes.
This is where you need a cricket sound effect.
I know we do. Anyway, look, we are, as you said, we're storytellers, and we like to uphold the writers and the storytellers in our particular film. So, look, this story was by Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow, with the screenplay by Emily Carmichael and Colin Trevorrow. Am I saying it right? Is it Trevorrow or Trevorrow? Do you know? Do you know?
I think it's fine either way.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
I'm going to guess it's Trevorrow because I think
it's
he's
Trevorrow.
British. But I could be wrong.
No,
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
we're not sure.
He's got a house in the UK, and I know that he did a lot of the post-production for this film in his UK house.
Did he?
So it makes me assume he might be British.
Oh, fantastic. Lots and lots of big stars in this movie. We're not going to sit here and read the entire cast list, but if you don't know who's in this movie, there's something wrong. But yes, we are basically summing up 6 films worth of
This is
franchise.
6 films, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, do you really feel? Do you really hear about 6 films in a series these days? There's Star Wars. There's Harry Potter.
There's sorry, not Jurassic World that we're talking about that one. Pirates of the Caribbean.
There's not 6 of those. There's only 5.
Yes,
or
there
there's
are
6. There's 6 coming out. No, I'm pretty sure there's only 5.
Well, they're probably
about to make another one.
There's going to be 12
But
of them.
there was 6 Planet of the Apes.
There are, right.
Well, the original series. Actually, you should say there's 9 now, even though it was remade.
Right. And let's be honest, even though they're saying that this Jurassic World Dominion, by the way, is the full name, is the last in the canon.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It makes a few dollars. It's going to come back.
Gonna come back, and so even if it's a spin-off.
Who doesn't like a good dinosaur?
Oh, can I tell you?
I like you.
Oh, excuse me? Get in the corner! You are being very rude to me today again. Look, I got to tell you, this is my freaking genre.
It is, finally.
Finally. We're always talking about... Okay. Thanks. I don't know what just happened then. He tried to be smart and pressed one of...
I took over your job.
One of the pre-recorded buttons.
You're the sound effects
and it
guy.
just fell on his face. You silly man.
I forgot you had to fade that one out.
Yeah, listen.
Leave it to the professionals.
Can we actually review a film today, or are we just going to be reviewing your face? What's going on? What's your first impression score, Will?
First impressions.
Just going to hold that one. It's a 4 for me. It's a 4.
4 out of 10. Okay. For those of you who don't know, we give 3 scores in our podcast, starting with what did we think when we first walked out of the cinema? I'm giving this a 3 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going low.
That's tough. Tough.
Why'd you give it such a low score?
Why did you give it a low score?
Well,
I think we'll get to that, but you go first.
Well, we'll get into that story, but I guess I'm a huge fan of Jurassic Park, and dinosaurs and things like that. Jurassic Park did something for me when I first saw it, and for the subsequent 100 times that I've seen it. It's a magical experience.
It really is.
Something it's so simple yet so I don't know, powerful in some way that it just hits the right chords for me. Number 2 was an absolute friggin' disaster.
Well, this is the thing. It's not just dinosaurs. It's also the storytelling in Jurassic Park.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. But it's also... See, I thought Jurassic World 1, which was also directed by the same director, Colin, good old Coles.
Best... Old mate Colin.
Old mate Colin. I think did a much better job than this one did.
Yeah.
I think that the first Jurassic World, which is actually the 4th in the franchise, it should have been what this film needed to be.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I recently saw an interview with good old Cole, who said that he pushed back against nostalgia.
Yeah.
And that he wanted to tell a new story with the age-old characters, Laura Derns and your Sam Neil's and your Ian Malcolms. And
so he pushed back against nostalgia, yet this film is extremely nostalgic.
No,
it literally brings back the 3 characters.
No, Will. I don't think this is nostalgic. I think they've taken the old characters and not really drawn on much of the magic of the first one.
That's true. The magic is gone.
I mean, there was one moment, one laugh out loud ridiculous moment. I don't know if you noticed when it was just after we first met Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern, who we absolutely love, by the way. She just gets to we're just about to learn about the locust plague. She gets to the farm. She stands up on a truck or on a car, and she looks out at the field, and she does, and the camera and her, they do the same movement as when she first sees the dinosaur. in Jurassic Park 1. And the whole thing was just so contrived, and she sort of stopped and paused and then turned her hand just the same way that she did, 30 years ago, 29 years ago, and gives that same look, of surprise and shock.
Locusts.
And then it's, I mean, I get it. I get that back in Jurassic Park, it was a friggin' brontosaurus or brachiosaurus in front of her.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine seeing a dinosaur for the first time?
I know.
But we're seeing
that moment. No one forgets that moment in Jurassic Park. It's incredible.
It's the moment.
Yeah.
But she's looking at a plague of locusts. I laughed out loud. It was so contrived and so stupid. You know what I mean?
She, Laura Dern actually petitioned for herself to be in this film. Did you hear about that?
I heard.
She didn't petition, but she was very interested in bringing back Ellie Sattler for the role.
Yeah,
so it sounds like she was taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
Coming back into that role. But
how could they not bring her back,
Well, that's true.
They did bring her back in Jurassic Park 3, but only very briefly.
Right.
So Alan Grant got like the whole movie, but she was only in a scene or two.
Right, yeah.
Which was such a shame.
Yeah, it was a shame. She's great.
Yeah.
I love Laura
She's
Dern.
amazing.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
But just going on to your thing about moments of nostalgia.
Yeah.
There was this great moment that did work for me, and one of the things I liked about the story was
Hang on,
very small.
are we talking about story, are we?
The story score.
Now listen, Will.
There was an eye roll in that pause.
I got to tell you, there are sections to this podcast.
Sorry.
You have to respect the section.
Respect the sections.
Get in the corner.
So yeah, there was just a small moment I want to talk about, which is when there was some action scene happened, and Ian Malcolm was standing there. This is towards the end of the story, and his shirt had come open, and he was like, "Oh, how did that get there?"
Did he say that?
Yeah, did you remember that moment?
I totally.
Which is obviously a reference to that great moment with his shirt open from the first one.
We absolutely love.
Yeah. Did you miss that?
I missed it.
It was very good. It was very clever, but it was very small.
Oh, that would have been great.
I think that was my favorite moment in this
Wow.
film. Just saying something.
Wow. Fun fact, though. This blows my mind. What's his name? Jeff Goldblum, who plays Ian Malcolm, is the same age in this movie that Richard Attenborough was in the first movie.
Jesus, I know. He looks good, doesn't he?
Well, it just goes to show, like, exercise and good fashion can do.
Probably good genes too, to be honest.
Yeah, because John Hammond in the first movie, he looks like an old man.
Yeah.
But Ian Malcolm in this movie, he looks like a freaking rock star.
He does.
He looks like a young hit. He looks great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Barely aged.
Eat your Wheaties and do your exercise.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story.
Brush your hair.
Jeff Goldblum, he's a legend.
Jeff Goldblum.
Bloom, sorry. He's
Bloom?
a legend.
Is it? It's Bloom. Right.
It's Bloom.
Okay, so we're moving on to our second score. We've given our first impressions. We're on to the
We uphold story. We want to talk all about the story. We want to talk about the structure. We want to talk about the characters.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the genre.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
You talk about it. No, I think one thing we really want to mention here was protagonist and main characters. So when we talk about stories, we have to really be clear and specific with the terms that we use. So a protagonist has a lot of different definitions, but for us...
Well, hang on a second. Before we get on to the defos of them, why do we want to talk about this today?
Okay, the reason being is that there are lots of characters in this film, but there's only one character that really changes, and that's Maisie, the teenage girl. And we see her go on a journey where she really is rejecting her new parents, played by Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, Claire and... Oh, I've forgotten the name of Chris Pratt's character very quickly.
Owen Grady.
Owen. And Owen.
Brain
and so
fart
she's
there.
being one of those rebellious teenagers, going out, and then she ends up getting kidnapped. And the story becomes about Claire and Owen trying to get her back. And by the end of the story, she's changed. She realizes the value of family, and she calls Claire and Owen her real parents, even though they're not. They're her adoptive parents.
Really clear character arc. I know that the director has said that he tried to give arcs to, or he did give arcs to all the characters. But what are those arcs?
Yeah.
Because to me, it just seemed like, and we've spoken about flat arc positive and negative arc characters before, but it seemed to me that most of the characters in this film were flat arc.
That's right, in that they didn't change, but the world around them sort of changed them.
Except for Maisie, who's the teenage girl. But to be honest, she doesn't have a lot of screen time.
No, she's barely in it. She's in the first act.
Yeah.
And as soon as she's kidnapped, we don't really see her again until towards the end of the second act.
We do see her occasionally, but not enough to call her a hero. Now, so what's the difference, Will, between a hero, a protagonist, and a main character?
Well, getting back to what I was saying before you rudely interrupted me.
He's having a tantrum today.
The protagonist, in our definition, is the character that changes. So they go on a journey of change in some capacity. The main character
the character who changes goes on a journey of change. Do they?
Yes, that's right. Yes. The main character is we see the story through, the eyes of the story.
That's right.
And the hero is the combination of both those two things.
Both those two things.
So the character that changes and the eyes of the story.
Yeah. Now that might sound a little weird to some people who might be listening to the first time, because most films that we see, we're used to seeing a hero.
Yeah,
we're used to
follow
seeing
them.
Yeah, we're used to seeing a hero, a character who we go on the journey with, and we see them
change.
We see them learn and grow. So we're used to that. But more infrequently, we do see protagonists and main characters separated.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about The Great Gatsby before. How Nick Carraway's the main character, but Gatsby himself is actually the protagonist. He's the one who goes on the journey of change.
That's right. And I think we'll come to this point when we talk about Elvis as well.
Yeah.
We have a main character and a protagonist.
Yeah, in a possible upcoming future podcast.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. That's
Spoiler alert. We're doing
down.
Elvis. But yeah, so Maisie is the one that changes here, and Owen and Claire don't really have a great character arc to me.
Yeah, but I guess the reason why we're mentioning it is that Maisie is clearly the protagonist of this story, but certainly we don't see the story through her eyes.
That's right.
Arguably, it's through Owen and Claire's eyes, or if not them, then it's through Alan Grant's and Laura Dern's characters.
Yeah, who all have their own storylines.
Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about that, Will. How do you feel about it?
I think when you get to this stage in a series where you've had 3 films and lots of different storylines, and there could be an argument that they've exhausted the chance to show these characters have these big monumental changes, whereas Maisie is quite a new character, and so we've got something new to learn about her. But I also disagree with that point, because I think we've seen lots of stories, the Toy Story series, where they're constantly able to give the character a new arc and a new positive change that they can make. A new positive arc change, and I'm talking about Woody. In all the Toy Stories, he's able to have a new change, whereas in this one, they sort of, they don't really go there.
You're talking about generally audiences assuming that once a character has changed, then they're complete. No, that's not the case, because what we need to talk about here is values in context.
That's right. Yeah,
that a story.
If the context changes, the values can change.
Exactly. A story is not just about a person who is missing one thing, and then once they've got it, they're perfect in everything else in the rest of their life. No. This story is only about the particular values in context in that particular story.
Yeah.
So when we get to a sequel or a threequel or whatever, it could be about a different theme, a different set of values, and therefore therefore that character who we've seen change in the first movie can undergo a brand new change in a different context.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
and if you're a writer and you are sort of thinking that you've gone as far as you can go with your character because you've already taken them on a journey, then you're doing something wrong. You can do it.
You're wrong. There's no such thing as perfection, people.
Yeah.
We are always incomplete in some area of our life, and we are always open to growing and changing, as they say in Bridesmaids.
Growing is changing.
Growing is changing.
But I think if you're changing, then you're growing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're growing, you're changing. Yeah, so how do we feel about Maisie? See, I think I'm in two minds because just like everyone else, I'm so used to seeing a hero. And so when you see a protagonist and main characters kind of split, it does feel a little kind of weird.
Well, you know, I think we're desperate to see that change, to go on the journey with that protagonist. Where I think you know, as we watch a character change, we also change. We also see how they face these challenges that we might face in our life, although obviously we're not facing dinosaurs.
Absolutely.
And if we don't have that, if we miss out on that, then it feels incomplete.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned before that a protagonist is an agent of change in the context of the story. Well, they're also an agent of change for the audience. Exactly. They are our subjective eyes. They're a surrogate for us.
They are.
Do you know what I mean? So when you have a character who's so clearly flawed like Maisie, and then she disappears for most of the film, or it doesn't allow us as the audience to connect with her.
That's right.
We feel like we're not really in the movie.
Yeah.
And when we cut to, one of the other storylines, it kind of breaks the fourth wall for us a little bit.
That's right. And
breaks the magic.
You can have all the action scenes in the world, the most thrilling scenes, but if it doesn't land emotionally, and it usually comes down to the change of the character arc, then it just feels all a little bit superfluous, a little bit empty.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
But can I just say, I loved some of the action sequences in this
Oh.
film. They were so good. They were so epic.
My God.
Edge of your seat stuff.
Great. Yeah, look, we're going to talk about genre in just a sec, but just on that first point, Will, as you mentioned, there are lots of storylines going on in it that I kind of felt, and this is actually leading on to genre, I kind of felt like the spectacle took over. It came instead of it being about the story and being honorable to the story, it became about presenting all the characters from the past and meshing them together. It became a spectacle in like I view a Marvel film.
Right.
I feel like that this film felt like a Marvel film.
Right.
In that, or an Avengers perhaps is a better thing to say, because I know that there are certain Marvel films that just focus on one character. Yeah. But I guess like Avengers or something, where there are multiple protagonists, multiple characters going on, and then they all unite,
But there
one to fight the evil lord at the end. It kind of felt like that.
Yeah, there was an element of that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And I suppose certainly like on the poster for this one, there's like 6 characters all on the poster, whereas the other ones have just had 3.
Yeah.
You can see that they're really trying to put everyone front and center.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
And you just can't do that in 90 minutes sometimes. You've got to give everyone the time that they need.
Yeah. And at least if you're going to do that, give us some nostalgia, not just that stupid look that Laura Dern did. But one thing that they did brilliantly with Jurassic World is, can you remember Jurassic World?
The first one.
The first Jurassic World.
That well, to be honest.
Right.
I remember certain scenes. I remember her with the flare in front of the T-Rex right at the end.
Yeah, that was great.
That was pretty iconic.
Really good. And it's got the guy from Love, Simon in it before he became famous.
Right. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Spotted.
One thing that film did really well is that they were on the same island. So we were back to Isla Nublar. We hadn't been there in 4 films. So it was the first time we'd gone back. Oh, hang on. No, the second one was on Isla Sorna. It was
right.
Isla Sorna. And the third one, actually, I don't know where the third one was set. But anyway, so I believe they were back on the same island as the first one, and they ended up going into...
You're talking about Jurassic Park?
I'm talking about Jurassic World.
Okay, so number 1, they were on Isla
in number
Nublar.
1, they were Isla Nublar.
Number 2,
second one, they were Isla Sorna.
And then they came back to Isla Nublar.
I think Jurassic 3 was actually another island. I think it was an island where they were growing the...
This is the third one. The third world.
No, this is the 4th movie. Well, so there was Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3. This is Jurassic World, which is the 4th movie. Yes? He's looking at me with this look.
Wait, no... There's Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3. Jurassic World 1. So I'm talking about Jurassic World 1.
Jurassic
World 1.
Yes, I'm talking about Jurassic World 1.
Oh, right. Oh,
sorry. Just get the corner.
Did you know this podcast is for Jurassic World 3 Dominion? Jurassic World.
I know.
Jesus.
What I'm trying to say to you is that Jurassic World Dominion feels like it's missing this nostalgia and this magic that Jurassic World had.
Got it.
Right? And in Jurassic World, they ended up back in the visitor center from Jurassic Park,
Right.
which was completely smashed up, and the Tyrannosaurus skeleton was there, and the old Jeeps were there. They were overgrown by reeds and things.
Which, let's be honest, that's what we want. We want a bit of nostalgia.
We want that. And not just
the
that.
music wells.
And then they brought the Jurassic Park music in at that point.
Yeah.
And you know that wonderful banner that says when dinosaurs ruled the earth and it floated down? They used that in the movie too.
Yeah.
And I just went, you know, this movie, Jurassic World Dominion, this one now, the one we're reviewing.
Let's call it number 6.
Number 6 missed the
Yeah.
That's the way I can describe it. It's that thing that hits here. It just didn't hit the mark. It's my genre, but it stuffed up the genre, I think.
No, I agree. Also, it's called Jurassic World. Obviously, there are dinosaurs in the world, but the concept of Jurassic Park is dinosaurs in a park. And I think we've talked about this this a little bit with other films.
Stay in the canon.
Stay in the canon. That's right. You know, like with the Hunger Games, the first one, it was set in a park where the kids are all trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
Second one, they get put back in the park. Great. Third one,
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games.
Oh, yeah, the third one. Oh, gosh.
Not set in the Hunger Games.
No, it was set in the capital, wasn't it?
In the capital, yeah. I believe so. Honestly, it was so long ago that I saw those films.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that breaking the concept of your story is always risky. And so, you know, I think that's why The Lost World also failed. The number 2 Jurassic Park.
Well, Lost World, I think failed just because of the acting. Personally, it was like
and the jump cuts.
Oh my god, it's laughing. I can't believe. I actually, no offense to Steven Spielberg, because I think his work is just like the best on the planet. This movie, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't even feel like a Spielberg film. It feels like a mistake.
Yeah,
but no, it was still set on an island. They were trapped on an island. Then
the dinosaurs went into the city.
No, they took one dinosaur. It was the
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Rex, right.
Yeah. I don't know. Stay in the canon, I guess. But But also, what I wanted to say about this movie is it's not just about being within an island, or an enclosed space, or a park, or a world, or whatever. Stay in the canon with dinosaurs, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I know there were prehistoric locusts from the Cretaceous area.
What happened? I think I get one thing that is good about this movie is that it presented a world out of balance, and then by the end of the movie, it showed a harmony between humans and nature. So it did start. It started broken and it ended up in an equilibrium, a balanced place. So I appreciate that. They didn't do it that well.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get that. How we can be talking all about these ecological disasters and trying to save the world from this plague of locusts and not looking at the elephant in the room, which is that this other ecological disaster of all the other dinosaurs that are out there. It's just too confusing and too convoluted. Of course, all those other dinosaurs are going to cause huge ecological disasters.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on one and say just because we've eradicated these locusts, everything's in balance and fine again.
Totally.
It's not.
I saw an interview. I thought it's actually the same interview I saw with Colin Trevorrow, and he said one thing that he really wanted to do with this movie is not show humans at war with the dinosaurs.
Right, yes.
He wanted to show them as if like a tiger walking down the street, or like
you'd never say that, would you?
Or a snake when you're going bushwalking. Like he wanted to just as you're driving your car, like a deer passes in front of your car. So, a velociraptor or a dinosaur. So I get that. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he should have done that.
I know. Don't we want to explore that? And look, that's literally the synopsis that we just read out. It's all about can humans and dinosaurs coexist.
Exactly.
We want that to be addressed in the story.
Yeah.
That should be the crux of the story.
Yeah, and if you're going to present like your macro binary, your macro symbols, which are obviously humans and dinosaurs, that's sort of like if you come right out, you want them to be at odds with each other. You want them to be in conflict with each other. So if they're not really in conflict with each other and it's this third thing, well, then... Do you know how they could have got around it, Will? I think that they and I was thinking this as I was watching it. They should have made them prehistoric locusts.
They were.
No, they weren't.
They were from the Cretaceous.
No,
period.
they weren't. They had Cretaceous genes in them, but they were still They were still locust. Like as far as I know, they were locusts from today that they'd put Cretaceous. I can't spare frothing. They put Cretaceous genes into them, and they just became bigger versions of themselves.
Okay.
What would have been really cool is if from the same way that they engineered the dinosaurs, they got the DNA out of the amber, the insects that were stuck in the amber, and they actually had a prehistoric dinosaur version of an insect, because they would have been massive as well.
I'd imagine so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. They had massive bugs. So why couldn't it have been that? Then that would have been a dinosaur.
I guess so. See,
Do you know?
Well, I actually thought that's what they did.
No,
so
they didn't.
I obviously misunderstood.
They didn't. This is why I didn't like it.
I still think that's a little bit weak. I still think we want to see the dinosaurs.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, if they were going to do it, wouldn't you have done it that way?
Yeah.
Or at least shown that the dinosaurs were throwing the balance out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't the dinosaurs that caused the locust. It was biosyn.
Exactly.
It was like this guy who you're going to talk about, the Tim Cook character. What was his name?
Dodson.
Dodson. Lewis Dodson.
Dodson, who actually appears in the first Jurassic Park.
Appears in the first Jurassic Park.
Go on, say the line.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here. Stop it, stop it. What we say?
We just say he looked remarkably like Apple's CEO Tim Cook.
Absolutely.
And his headquarters looked like Apple Park in California.
Absolutely. I think they were going for that.
Yes.
I think, how could they not be? But anyway,
before you go on,
can I just finish
about that?
I just want to finish the
All
thought
right,
so that we can go to the new subject.
All right.
It was Lewis Dodgson's company Biosyn with Henry Wu, who was also in the first movie, that created the locust. They're the ones who threw the balance out.
Yeah.
It wasn't the dinosaurs. Oh, they missed the mark.
Yes, you're right.
What's going on
the
here?
The dinosaurs needed to do something to the environment that threw everything out.
Yeah.
And that needed to be put back into balance.
Yeah.
So just my Tim Cook point, I don't understand why they needed to make a reference to Tim Cook. Like, Tim Cook isn't exactly one of the CEOs that's destroying or ruining the earth.
Exactly.
His only crime is that people love all the Apple products. And sorry, does this guy just hate Apple? Why not make him like another billionaire?
Another billionaire who is showing.
Exactly.
Yeah, we won't mention names, but there are many other people.
Yes, that are doing superfluous
ecological damage.
That's right.
That they could have used
Rockets,
instead.
Space.
Yeah, okay. All right. We got it. Thank you. I just sung then. Did you hear me?
You did.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm trying to get in harmony with you.
You're putting everything back into balance.
There you go. Do you have anything else to say about genre?
Last thing we just wanted to mention was about Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant. And
and
you remember, you could argue that they did have a character arc. They did change. They did find an equilibrium with each other by falling in love with each other at the end. But really,
it's
just a little bit of sugar on top.
I think it's a bit of a cheap trick.
It's a cheap trick. Yeah, it's gimmicky.
I've said to you before, because we're writing a really hard story at the moment where we've got a brother and sister character who are the opposite sides of the binary, and we need to find a way for them to find balance. And I've said to Will many times, damn, it would just be so much easier if they were just love interests, because then we could have just used the motif, the symbol of them,
of love,
of having sex, sacred marriage, falling in love, kissing, as these two.
But brother and sister
don't have that. They can't have that. So
it's really the wrong message to put in a children's book, isn't it?
Well, yeah. No, but obviously they can't do that.
Yeah.
But so we have to think of ways to do it that has
it makes it much harder, especially within the context of your story. It makes it much harder to do that. But love is almost like a get out of jail free card. It's like a free pass.
Yeah, it's just like if you can't find a way to bring your values together in a creative way, then just have them fuck.
More or less.
Like do you know what I mean? Sorry, first. I shouldn't have used that language, but I felt it was kind of cheap that they just sort of ended up together, and it didn't really.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they representing? I didn't get it. We didn't spend enough time with them to
That's
really...
That's exactly the point. They did not spend enough time with them. A really great example of doing this is one of my favourite films, which is the director's cut of Cinema Paradiso.
Right.
And they do this in it. So if you haven't seen the director's cut, I don't want to spoil it for you because it's a really amazing experience.
Well, we spoil everything here.
Okay. Well, if you've seen the theatrical cut of that film and you loved it, go and see the director's cut, because in the director's cut, they put in an extra 30 or 40 minutes and they show the relationship between the two main characters who fall in love as teenagers and then never see each other again. And then they come back together in their 40s after having lived other lives.
Right.
And it's one of the most powerful emotional moments I've ever seen on cinema.
Really?
These two lovers who live in different worlds and know they can never be together, who have gone off and lived different lives, but have this incredible connection that they had earlier in their lives.
Okay.
And this moment where they come together and they still hold something. It's just incredible. And you could have done that with this relationship, but you would have needed them to have a lot more screen time and probably more time in the other films as well.
Totally. But it's also not impossible to have done something just a little bit more powerful than what they did.
Yep.
You
Just
know
justify
what?
it.
Maybe Will and I are missing something, and we need to have a second watch. Let's be fair.
Yep.
Everything we say is our
Well, I obviously
interpretation.
missed the thing about the Locusts, so
Well, yeah.
that is
there you
the
go.
danger of doing a film as soon as it comes out. You don't get a chance to see it a few times.
Absolutely. Look, I will say one thing that I did really like about this movie is the callback to Lewis Dodgson, as you
You did like
mentioned.
that. You did.
I did. Like,
and Biosyn was in the books, wasn't it?
Biosyn was in the books, yeah. Michael Crichton wrote about Biosyn, but it didn't appear in Jurassic Park. But yeah, Lewis Dodgson had a very small role in the first movie where he gave the can of the shaving cream that
The DNA test tubes were supposed to be hidden
it
or
was
something.
fake. The Barbasol can gave to Dennis Nedry, who he had to go to Jurassic Park and steal all the vials of DNA. Really loved how they brought him back. And I particularly liked that they did a little Easter egg, and they had the Barbasol can on his desk or in his office. Thought that was really cool. But Lewis Dodgson also died the same death as Dennis Nedry with the Dilophosauruses. You know.
Yeah.
But aside from that, no callback to the original.
You know it wasn't the same actor from the original.
I know that.
Do you know why?
Yes, I do know why, but we're not going to
We're not
mention
gonna
that
mention
here.
that.
Okay.
Go look it up
We
if you're
also shouldn't be
curious.
laughing at that because it's a
Yes,
very
you're right,
serious
it's
thing.
terrible.
Cool. Do you have anything else to say?
I
Will?
don't. No.
MMG.
I don't think I'm ever going to get used to that.
You're going to have to get used to it, my darling. We're on to our third and final score, the Not My Genre NMG score. So has your first impression score changed, Will, now that we've spoken about story?
It hasn't really changed, but I have to say that most of those points are for the spectacle. The 4 out of 10 that I give it, I'm going to stick to 4 out of 10. I really loved some of the action scenes. I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of them. I thought they were very creative, and I thought the set pieces were incredible. And it really sucks when a story lets all this amazing work by this amazing crew down, because clearly there were some very, very talented people working on this film.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible work.
Oh, so,
And so
what's your final score?
4.
4. So it hasn't
Same,
changed.
hasn't
Sorry.
changed.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. The set pieces, the action scenes were just outstanding. Like, very, very creative, I thought. But I will say this. I was thinking about this the other day. Most of the set pieces of them just running from dinosaurs.
Yeah, that is true. That is,
After a while, it's just like, we're running from dinosaurs. We're escaping from dinosaurs again.
Oh,
like
another dinosaur? Let's run.
Let's run from it. Let's hide from it. Like, could we not have been a little creative in how they could have dealt with that?
What do you
Like,
think?
I
What
don't.
do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they had to chase after the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Flip it on its head or something.
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know-
you could argue they did that at the beginning, where he was a dinosaur wrangler, but
Possibly.
that wasn't. No, that wasn't. It wasn't in the
Yeah.
the meat of the film.
Well, they were actually after the baby velociraptor, so they actually did do that. So I'm going to take that comment.
no, but you're
back.
talking about a set piece. You're talking about like an
Oh
isolated,
yeah, an
action
isolated
sequence.
action sequence. Yeah,
That would have been
not an overriding
See
story.
if you can come up with something a little bit more clever than just running.
Absolutely, my
How
darling.
was it when the little girl Maisie got stuck in the cage with the T-Rex claws? Like when the T-Rex bit the cage.
That wasn't a T-Rex, but yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that was, I forget the name of the dinosaurs, but the biggest terrestrial dinosaur to ever live.
And I actually thought that dinosaur at the end,
Carnivore to ever live.
the dinosaur with the massive claws, I thought that was a genetically modified dinosaur, but that was real. I looked it up. That
Right.
actually existed with those long fingers.
Yeah.
It had a bit more feathers than they showed in the movie.
Right.
But
Okay.
it was a real dinosaur.
I tell you what, that sequence with Claire in the jungle with that particular
yeah.
dinosaur, and she had to get in the water, that was actually pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
And also, don't forget that this is meant to be a thriller slash a little bit of a horror. Wasn't scared. Wasn't really on the edge of my seat much, to be honest. Were
But
you?
If you were 12, maybe?
Do you see a 12-year-old watching this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
I think it's
Yeah.
12. I
Okay,
think
cool. My NMG score is going to stay at a 3. And
Okay.
I tell you what, I'm bloody disappointed because...
Well, you love these films.
I've
This
been-
is your genre.
It's my genre. I've been looking forward to this for a bloody long time, you know? Yes, Will. Absolutely. It gets the dong on the Not My Genre score. Thank you very much. Hey, listen, it's been lovely, Will.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Thank you for joining us for episode 44. My
Wow.
gosh.
That's, your age.
Stop it, Will. It's not my age. Hey, look, I can hear the music. Everyone, have a wonderful time. We're going to see you next time for Elvis.
Elvis. See you then.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.